Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusha here, and now, before we do begin, let's give a brief little review. In the last part, we had Izuku Midoriya. Izuku, he was working on quite a lot of things. He was working on things for the tower, his company, and his team. And he was also trying to build the Marvel Buster, along with going over data about Robert Reynolds and Deadpool. Deku had quite a full plate, and Storm came to talk to him about what was happening. And Deku, he understood. Sometimes he needs to take a bit of a break. He is a smart and intelligent man. However, his mind needs rest. Deku has been through the ringer before. He's still recovering from Ultron. And Storm can sense that. Deku, he decided that she was right. He would only focus on one project, and then he would go off to bed. Tomorrow, they can take the day off. However, before that even happened, he encountered Carol Danvers, talked to her, and actually expressed to her a few things. His own concerns. He revealed to her that the Illuminati does exist, the Marvel's Illuminati consisting of the smartest men on the planet, and Carol remembered that they erased her mind. Deku also brought up a few things. He brought up that Tony Stark may be relapsing into alcoholism. His sensors detected alcohol on his breath during their meeting, and Carol was concerned. And even dead as she has with Zuko right now, she immediately put on the back foot. Everything with Robert Reynolds, Robert was getting better. He was showing progress. That's good. She could understand that. But Tony? Tony was a friend of hers. She's been down that road before with him. Deku knows that. He has data on her. And she wants to make sure that Tony Stark will be okay. Make sure that her friend doesn't go down that rabbit hole again. She saw how he fell, and she knows that even she had her own problems. But Tony managed to pick himself back up and grow from it. And that certainly does mean quite a lot. Now, Izuku, he spent the night with Storm, made sure that she was okay. He did begin to worry about her. And currently he doesn't wake up in her bed. Right now him opening his eyes and actually feeling a little bit more relaxed. Currently him sitting up and thinking about everything. Last night he did not have a nightmare. Last night he dreamt. It was nice. It was better. And currently Deku does go to interface with his AI. Currently Miss Costa beginning to feed him information about what's going on. Deku's eyes glowing as his assistant set up. He's almost been asleep for 7 hours. And that is rather surprising. It's currently 8:27 in the morning, and Miss Costa has had multiple messages on hold for Izuku. And one of them is talking about the latest thing that's happened. And a program she ran to discover the origin of. And Deku, he would leave the room. Currently Storm still laying there, as Deku, he is walking through the hallway. And currently he would go directly to his lab. Right now Deku, a little bit more annoyed, and going to run the data over and over and over again. Currently him climbing into his suit and then heading to the top floor. Now, when Deku decides to walk out, everybody, they are in this room. Except for Scarlet, Storm, and, well, let's just say a few others. Currently, it's a mix and match. And Deku, when the elevator does get to open, he's a walkout. Currently, Nova, both the Spider-Men, Kamala Khan, Johnny, and Carol, all there, along with Deadpool, who currently is wearing his pink Hello Kitty robe with Crocs. And Deku, when he does go to walk out, everybody does see him in the Iron Man suit. Currently, him having a demanifest around him as he does go to turn. Right now his helmet invisible. As Deku walks over and talks to a few people. And Carol will go to express that currently there's a bit of a situation. I know. So you've read the news? Yeah, I'll talk to Tony. I need to figure out what's going on too. Why the hell would he release extremists? Everyone turned to Izuku, and they can tell that he's visibly angry. He's visibly concerned. And Deku, the moment he read that headline this morning, something was off. People are getting access to a free app called Extremis. However, from what he can understand, the app has a 24-hour period. It has terms and conditions inside the contract. He looked at the app already, the information. The moment, the very moment, those 24 hours are up, Stark Industries will have a skyrocket profit along with crime in New York beginning to surge. And that is something that Izuku does not like. Tony created an app to give you your dream version of yourself, give you perfect health, perfect beauty, and a perfect physique. It does not matter what you want because you can just buy it. And Tony, he's making a profit off of this. He's going to. And Deku doesn't like it. Currently, him going to walk outside as Carol, we're going to step out. Her expressing that maybe Izuku does need a bit of backup on this one. Maybe. But listen, I already wanted to talk to Tony about his alcoholism. Let me do that intervention first. Then, maybe you can help me out here. I'm not just going to sit by and watch this, right? Maybe not. So come with me to New York. If I do need your help, then you can help me. I already had to stop by and talk to somebody. He's trying to buy out many companies. And he's been making an offer to Sasha Hammer. Really? Yeah. He's already bought 5 companies outright for double their price. He's spending a lot of money because he knows he's going to earn it back like that within 24 hours. It's hard to say. Predictions are varying. My timetable's not good. And there's only one problem I'm seeing here. Where the heroes are. Exactly. Data shows that Hulk's on the run. So Dr. Banner's out. But if Dr. Banner's out, then where's everyone else? Can I explain that? There has to be a series of events that explain this. Right. Currently Deku flying up into the air. And Carol does get a follow. The two currently heading out to New York. And there currently is Deadpool, who we're going to turn watching that. Bring up his phone and thinking about a few things. Currently him pressing onto the App Store and thinking about what to do. Because this is either going to be a blessing or a curse, depending on how the writer feels about him. And currently Deadpool would have turned to the writer. Him narrowing his eyes and aware. He might either get the short end of the stick or the best deal ever. I mean, hey, he can pay for it. He might get a date. Or, we pull that Loki shit on him. Currently Deadpool pondering. And with that being said, let's cut over to New York. Currently, Deku, he does come landing down. Right now him walking over and tapping onto a window. And Carol Danvers does get some float there. Her hearing the person inside turn and stand. And currently Sasha goes to walk over as the door is going to open. Deku stepping forwards and bringing his own hands up. Right now him pulling Sasha into a hug as he is to talk about it. Goes to step back. Asking her if things have been good here. Things have been busy. However, why are you here? I wanted to check in. Talk about a few more things, personally. It's about Tony Stark. Are you here on his behalf? Does he know I'll listen to you, talk with you, be more civilized? No, it's not about that. Tony made your company an offer. He also came to you So I want to know, why exactly is he trying to buy out every company in New York? Hmm? I couldn't tell you for the life of me. Her gonna turn, walking over and going to sit down. And Deku, he can tell. Sasha's happy to see him. However, her mind immediately does get a race with what exactly Mr. Stark is doing. She herself does not know, and currently she could have someone bring her hand up to her stomach. Her setting it down and expressing to Izuku. Mr. Stark came to her in person, and he threatened her. He what? He threatened. It wasn't outright, but he made me quite aware. I should fear for my safety. If I do not comply. I did not comply, and I believe that I have already had multiple attempts on my life. You're joking. No, Izuku, I'm not. Fact of the matter is, Detroit Steel has had to be deployed. I have a pilot currently monitoring me, along with multiple systems in place. The fact is, I have my own private security. They've been upgraded. I've reinstated some of the guardsmen, and I've even put one of your prototypes into use. I can't be mad at you for that. I can't be mad at you for that. You're taking protocols to keep yourself safe. Thank you. Don't thank me. You're doing what you can. Shit. Stay. Do you. I don't know how to pose this. Get out of New York. Easier said than done. Right, so. I can get a few things set up. Get a shuttle for you. Maybe. I'd say stay at my tower, but he'd expect that. I already do have some offshore locations, Izuku. I can head to one of them. However, you will need to delete the database of my location. Right. Maybe I'll just take you there directly. The two continue to talk, and Carol can hear it. This conversation between two intellectuals. It's rather strange. And the idea that Tony Stark would threaten a pregnant woman, it's a bit off to her. Tony is not like that. He wouldn't. He just wouldn't. I mean, he would say something about her, yes, being Sasha Hammer, the granddaughter of Justin, but the man's been long dead from what she doesn't understand. And right now, this is not good. Deku, he's genuinely concerned about this now. Tony is threatening people he shouldn't. Somebody who is close to Izuku. And that is very bad. Currently, Deku asking Carol if she can stay here for a minute while he does to talk to Tony. Something to just ease his mind. And Carol, she is a bit annoyed. However, she does could at least begrudgingly do this. She already agreed to let Tony talk to she already agreed to let Deku talk to Tony first, before she has had to step in. And, well, if Sasha Hammer is in danger, then it does mean that she does need to be protected. And currently Deku does that take to the skies, as we do cut over to Stark Industries, where a few things have been done. The place has had some remodeling in the last 5 months since he's been back. And Deku, he has come flying down. Currently, Tony standing at a bar and turning his head. Deku floating down and above the pool. As his helmet, it does a somewhat demanifest around his head. Him talking about how Tony's been doing quite a lot, hasn't he? And currently Tony does just stand there. Him surrounded by beautiful women as Deku's to turn his head. Right now his scans showing everybody here is using extremists, in one way or another. And they can see it. Currently, him looking around. And it's rather odd. Some people he does see. They look like heroes. Their physiques are, well, physical prime, and some of them are large. That guy looks like Thor, and his face is uncanny. Miss Costa, run a match. 97%. That's not good. Deku turning and looking around. There's a woman over there who looks like Jessica Jones. She looks strong, well built. And Deku turns his head again, seeing a guy who does look like the Century, and even seeing a guy who's bigger and bulkier who looks like the Hulk. And Deku, he does a look around and scan the party. We're now Tony turning his head and staring at Deku. And Deku, he is observing everything. And Tony would bring his hand up. Currently, him grabbing onto the two girls right next to him, and telling Izuku about how if he's looking at the merchandise, might as well stay and sample some, right? Besides, just land, have a drink. It's on him. And Izuku, he would land in front of Tony Stark. Currently, the two beautiful women going to step forwards. And Deku, he does this to scan them. One of them is a redhead, and the other girl has blonde hair. Her face. Miss Costa, who is this? Currently running scan. 99% match. Carol Danvers. Deku a bit taken aback, turning to the other woman and seeing Black Widow. And this does mean quite a bit. Currently, Deku bringing his hands up and trying to talk about how he needs to talk to Mr. Stark about business. And Tony, we're going to turn. Him, somewhat clumsily, going to sit down his drink as he has a turn to Izuku, wiping his mouth, talking about it. Right. Actually, he's been meaning to speak to him about that. What do you mean? Kid, you own a company here in New York, right? I mean, it's a small expansion of your own company. Your medical field, right? Listen, I was hoping to buy a few things from you. Maybe even get you to talk to Miss Hammer about selling me her company. Listen, Hammer Industries has had a good run, but we can both agree they're outdated warmongers and they need to go. Tony, I'm here because of that. Really? So you want to hear my offer then? It's way more money than the company is worth. I mean, seriously. Justin didn't do very well, but I will admit his granddaughter has been doing better. Deku bring his hand up and telling Tony, he is threatening one of the mothers to his children. He's not here to help him. Oh, right. Well, listen, Izuku. I'm going to turn, telling the bartender about how he does want 2 drinks. And Deku would tell him, stepping forwards into the bar. Him going to tell Tony that he's here to talk to him about his behavior. Fact is, he's not doing too good. Really, kid? Is that really why you're here? Need some advice? Need to figure out what you're doing wrong? What I'm doing wrong? Mr. Stark, you're relapsing. You're drinking. Tony gonna turn and go to sip his drink from the bendy straw. Him with his eyes glowing blue thanks to his armor. And he would inform Izuku. He has extremists in his system. He knows that, right? Right. Listen, kid, I didn't do whatever Ultron did to you, so I just mainly got the good technical bits. You know, this armor of mine is directly connected to my brain. And a little bit of perks of that is with extremists, I have a healing factor. The fact of the matter is, I can indulge as much as I want, and I don't get drunk. Besides, it was never really about me being inebriated or drunk. With minds like ours, we can't really enjoy the pleasures of alcohol and letting loose our self control. Though, making a turn and staring at one of the beautiful women, expressing, though he can certainly still do a few other things. He's turning back to his playboy roots, him fully spinning around and leaning against the bar, telling Izuku, turning his head to the right and staring at him, that he's never had fun like this, has he? Besides, I mean, he's still just going through the motions. Hmm? Yeah. Listen, I'm still going through the process in my head. Everything that happened. How I died. Tony, you can talk to anyone. Alright? Deku going to send out a bit of a message. And Carol does get the ping on her watch. Her understanding what this does mean. And currently she's a flap into the air and over to the tower. Deku bringing his hand up and telling Tony, just because he's drinking again doesn't mean he's alone. Maybe talk to some of the other Avengers. He called over somebody else right now. He pinged them. Besides, where is Steve Rogers? Where's Cap? Where's Thor? Where are any of the Avengers who should be here to help him sort himself back out? He gets taking time, but isolation is one of the worst forms of taking time. Sometimes it hurts you worse than this, than the problem itself. And Tony, here's a turn. Him going to laugh, and someone bringing his hand up, telling Izuku that he's really not alone. Currently a woman walking over as Tony does a bring his hand down. And Deku, he does see Tony being a bit handsy. And Deku, he's a bit annoyed. Mr. Stark is not listening, so maybe he'll actually listen to somebody who's been down that road. And Carol does gonna fly down. Currently, her watching Tony bring his hand off of a woman's ass. And she does express that she's really ashamed that Anthony is acting this way. And Tony does a turn. Him going to someone stare at her for a minute and talk about how Carol really has no room to argue. Besides, he can have self-control. She couldn't. She only got over things after Marvel died, and she got shit-faced. You think after everything she's been through, she'd at least be a bit more understanding. You know. Besides, when she went off the deep end, no one really blamed her for that. No one blamed her for flying out into space for a while, and then when she came back, she was finally normal? Yeah. Information out there is skewed, but the actions she does still do might come back to Earth and haunt her. I mean, it's just that simple. She can't run from her own past, like how he can't run from his own problems. I mean, he could shoot at them or buy them. So hey, he's just trying to have his own fun while he can. When he gets his head back on straight, he'll tell them. Besides, if they're worried about the alcohol indulgence, it won't affect him. Like he said before, it doesn't matter. With extremists in his own system, he's good. And Carol is a stare at Tony, who is to walk over back to the bar and down a drink. And there actually is where a woman does go to someone stand there with Mr. Stark. Carol, a bit more annoyed seeing somebody who looks a lot like herself. And Deku, he has to see the expression on her face. Currently, her bringing her own hand up and about to yell at Tony. But Deku, he has a grab onto Tony's arm. Right now, him going to do so and tell them that he needs to go up now. And Mr. Stark does just stare at Deku. The two then going to blast up into the air as Carol is annoyed. Her staring at the woman as she doesn't bring her hands up. Right now, things a bit more complicated. And Deku, him and Tony do begin to talk in the air. Deku wants to seriously understand what the hell is wrong with Mr. Stark. He wants to know why he's giving these people the option for extremists. and why he's doing everything he's doing. And Tony, he's doing it for profit. He's doing it for money. Stark Industries lost a lot, and he's trying to make up for that. So, while the deficit is still there, the moment the first 24 hours pass, it will boom. So hey, it's a win-win. People get what they want, and he gets what he wants. It's simple. And Tony, he does stare at Deku. Him with just a smile on his face. And Deku, he doesn't like this. Him trying to ask Mr. Stark where the Avengers currently are. And Tony would just get a shrug. And Deku, he sees this response. He doesn't like it. And Tony doesn't express. Listen, he's just gonna do his own thing. So if they're done here, then this is this. Currently, I'm gonna turn and going to fly back down to the party. And Deku was gonna tell him he met every challenge he had for him with earnest. And gonna somewhat freeze. And somewhat turn to Izuku. Deku expressing, the moment he met Tony Stark, he thought he had a chance. Whenever he took up this challenge to become Iron Man, does he know how much he did? How many hours he worked in that lab to just refabricate one armor? How much time it took him? The more and more he learned, the better he got. He took Tony's challenges to be a hero because he saw something in him. What did he see in him? Tony Stark is doing this. He saw his intelligence. He built up a company in less than months. He made it earn billions. What the hell is Tony Stark doing? He's not listening to his advice, even though he picked him to be Iron Man. What exactly does that mean? Clearly something is wrong with Mr. Stark, and he refuses to acknowledge it. So he wants him to tell him what the actual hell he did, why he picked him to be Iron Man, and why the hell he's going so far at the deep end and refusing help. Mr. Stark just doesn't stare at Deku. Him, just a little surprised. And a little confused. Currently Jocasta showing the information on screen. And Deku can tell. Tony gonna turn and fly back down without answering. And his body language tells Deku quite a lot. Something is wrong. And this is bad. Currently Deku going to do a few things. Sending some messages out to the Avengers and trying to track some of them down. And nothing really does happen. And right now there actually is over on the West Coast, where something is going down. And right now the team, they are deployed. And Deku, whenever he does get an alert, he does go to turn. Him telling Carol to respond to it because he needs to make sure that Hammer is attended to safely and make sure that things are okay. And Carol can understand. Currently, her going to fly away with a lot going through her own mind because she just saw a bit of her past right in front of her again. And this is a bit of a sore topic for her. Now, Deku, he does go to help Sasha get somewhere safe. Currently, her being loaded up onto a jet and it taking off. Right now, her having a iron escort with her. Now, Sasha is dropped off somewhere safe. And Deku, he does go to help her get comfortable with a few things before telling her what will happen. He'll drop by and bring by some assets. Make sure that she is okay and safe. And Sasha would return. Her staying there with Izuku, as his helmet, it is not on his head. Her giving him a kiss, and talking about a few things. Her going to express about how things might be whenever the child is born, and about how maybe whenever she does have time, she can put back on the Detroit Steel suit. Maybe this time, be a bit more heroic with things. Turn the guardsmen into an actual force for good. See about doing that. I mean, they already are in charge of protecting her from Mr. Stark. And she does get to someone express to Izuku that the man is changed in a way. And Deku sadly doesn't understand. Him talking about it himself, about the anomaly that's present. Now, currently over in San Francisco, the team responded to this threat, and they took it down. It was rather odd, but that is just the thing. Izuku himself wants to know what's going on. And currently, there actually is where a day would go to pass, and predictably, things begin to happen. The Extremist app, it booms in not only popularity, but in how that price tag went from free to $100 a day. And this, it does show Izuku everything. Mr. Stark's true colors. And currently, he does just don't sit there. Him annoyed. And there actually is the team. The team have a lot going through their own heads. And Izuku, he is waiting on responses back from the Avengers. However, there's nothing. And even Peter himself is going over a lot. It's very unlike Mr. Stark to do something like this. It just doesn't make sense. He remembers how he was whenever he was still a hero. He talked to the guy a few times. Not really anything too grandiose, but still, he's turned into a bit of an asshole. Everyone turned to Izuku. And Carol does just don't stand there. Her a bit out of her own head. And Deku would express Mr. Stark turned into an asshole. He doesn't get why he's acting the way he is, but clearly there is something wrong with his mind. He's losing it. Or, well, there's a theory of his, but he doesn't like it. Currently, him sitting there silently. And he goes on sit up. Or not him, going to turn. And going to tell everybody. Right. Listen, he's gonna say this now. They're all gonna go out and get something to eat. Everyone looking at Deku. And he would just want to bring his hand up. Him going to ping the team as all of their information does go to pop up. Now, currently there actually is where everyone does it to bring up the bracelets on their wrist. And Deku does go express to them. They're going to go get food. Robert needs to step out of the tower and see he can live his life. Though, he's going to be working on this thing as well. He needs to think. Just clear his mind. The man is going to need this. And Deku does tell all of them. 1 hour. That's all he needs. Then they'll all go out to lunch. And Carol, I'm going to turn, might know a good spot. Though she will need to look into it. And Miss Danvers does get one smile. Her currently expressing about how she's going to try and head out and remember where it's at. Though, she will go on patrol. If there's anything out there, she'll alert them. Or take care of it herself. Her going to flap into the air. And going to leave. And Izuku, he does it head down to his lab. Currently, him, with a smartphone that does have extremists downloaded onto it. And he is beginning to modify a few things. He's already hacked into the extremist network, isolated this one, and made sure to separate it from what Tony has built. Though, fact is, he has an idea. Robert Reynolds is afraid of becoming the Sentry. He's afraid of being the Sentry. So, make him, in appearance, the Sentry. Show him that the Golden Man does not mean Well, being the Golden Man does not mean Extremis will come out, or the Void will come out. Extremis can be used to give him the mind, well, the body. His mind will slowly acclimate to being the Century, and, hopefully, it will allow him to face his fear of his powers. If he has the appearance of the Century and the Void does not manifest into reality, it doesn't whisper into his ear, it will make himself feel safer. He will have the quote-unquote strength, but his mind and will, they're still weak. And that's on Deku's mind. Currently, him going to Robert, and Robert a bit more confused. And Deku, hey, we're gonna give this offer to the man. And Robert Reynolds, he's not sure about it. He's a bit skeptical, a bit more just caught off guard by it. Surprised? Surprise is definitely a word for it. And currently the team, they do get to head out. One of them going to get lunch. And with that being said, Deku, he's got a lot to look into. He has a theory going around. And it's bad. It's really bad. Tony Stark died. What now? Nearly 7, 8 years ago? He's been dead for years. And with Superior Iron Man running around, walking around, it means a bit. Deku wants to look for a body. But even then, with the way reality has changed and shifted, a body doesn't mean much. I mean, it would prove that he's not Tony Stark. But if that's the case, then what is this version of Iron Man? And Deku, he has that thought cross his mind. Is he a stray thought he created? Is he a stray thought from the reality stone inside of his head? Is he something that he created out of fear? The worst version of Iron Man. Is that a thought he had? The way Tony could have been? Or is it just possible Tony's back and he's relapsing into his worst traits? He doesn't know. And it does concern him. Currently Deku sitting there with his team. And all of them, they are currently eating. However, Deadpool, he is not here. And with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.